So in this first triangle that we're going to solve, let's just kind of set it up and see what happens. So the things that I know are that I have 25.2, that's my top angle. I'll put a capital A there to kind of fit our formulas. And then I'm looking for X, this bottom side, and I know 5. So I'm going to, first step always when we're doing these trig problems, is I'm going to do my labeling. Always label first. So label your opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. And I'll use those abbreviations. If you want to do a big O, a big A, big H, that's fine too. So my hypotenuse is that 5. Opposite of angle A is the X. And then the adjacent's the vertical side right next to the 25.2 degrees. Okay, now I need to look at what's the sides that I need. Which sides do I either know or need? Know, or actually I usually say know or want. Which sides do I know or do I want? In this problem, I know the hypotenuse and I want the opposite. Notice there's no number with adjacent and there's no X. I don't really care about the adjacent side. Okay, and then step 3, this is where I decide if I am going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. Which one do I use? So the fact that I want opposite and I know hypotenuse means that I'm going to use opposite and hypotenuse is sine. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So I'm going to jot down, normally I'm going to just jot down this S-O-H, so. That's my so part of SOHCAHTOA. For this first couple though, I'm going to write out the whole thing. So the formula is that sine of A is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. I am going to abbreviate a little bit there. So now I'm going to plug in the things that I know. So sine of the angle, so sine 25.2. Okay, so if I know my degrees and I plug that in right next to either sine, cosine, or tangent where that A is, equals opposite over hypotenuse. So I don't know the opposite, that's my X, over 5. Okay, so now I'm going to use my solving formulas steps, or solving equation steps. To get X alone, since this is X divided by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. So it'll cancel that 5 on the right side. So now I have 5 times sine 25.2. And always put the side in first. To be consistent, we'll see as we keep going, always put the side first and then times the sine of our angle, 25.2. So you can put it all in your calculator in one step like that. 5, you could hit times sine or just hit sine. Your calculator will know to multiply. 5 sine 25.2 is 2.12, let's go 129. Or 1.3 would have been fine. 2.1, oh, 100th of a foot. I even say how to round. 2.13 feet. Okay. Let's do another one. So notice, actually I'm going to add to my steps here. Once we decided whether to use sine, cosine, or tangent, and this is going to come in as we do more of these, we're going to calculate based on the situation. I'll talk about that in the next problem we do. Okay, notice how this is headed situation 1, the unknown is on top. Okay, so now the next one, 71 degrees, 30 minutes down in the bottom. So right away, I'm going to change that to 71 point. If it's 30 minutes, break that down by 60, divide by 60 to get 0.5 degrees. So we'll use 71.5 instead of that. 71 degrees, 30 minutes. You could enter in your calculator like that if you want, but a little easier to change it to a decimal. So now, first up, after we did that, let's do our labeling. Hypotenuse, opposite is going to be the X, because that's across from the 71.5 degrees. And then adjacent is my 15.5. So now I pick what are the two sides I care about. Which ones do I want and which ones do I already have? So I have adjacent, so I have to use that. And then I want opposite. So now if I look at my formulas, opposite and adjacent. Which one's opposite and adjacent? That's the tangent. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So when I plug in my numbers, tan 41.5 degrees, plug in the angle, and then on the right side, here's where I put my sides. So my opposite is x, I don't know x, my adjacent is 15.5. So again, if I'm trying to get the x alone, since it's divided by 15.5, I need to multiply that to the other side. So every time it's the unknown is on top, the unknown side is on the top. Doesn't matter if it's sine, cosine, or tangent. If our x is our top side in the equation, it's always going to be this step when I calculate of multiplying the side by the trig part. Okay, so 15.5 tan 71.5 is 46.32. We're dealing with inches here. Okay, now this looks like a big number, but if you look at the triangle, if this is to scale, if it's 15.5 is my vertical, that horizontal looks a decent amount bigger. And it is across from a pretty big angle. So if it's across from 71.5 degrees, that means this other one's only like not even 20 degrees. So it should be a decent amount bigger than 15.5. Okay, so that is reasonable. So notice how, I'm going to look at the formula sheet, how I have it on there. See how here it says situation 1, this is what we've just done, the last two. If the unknown of the equation is the top side, unknown of equation is the top side, we always take our side times either sine, cosine, or tangent of the angle, whichever one we set up. So we still have to figure out, what's the two sides I care about, set up my sine, cosine, or tangent, but then if it's the x is on top or the question mark's on top, I always do side times the trig part. And one last step on this, changing this to 1/16 of an inch. Let's see, pretty close to 3125 would be 5/16, but if I'm not positive, this is where you could take 0.32 times 16, and I get 5.12. So yeah, this is definitely closest to 5/16 of an inch. Okay, now the next two, I'm not going to go through the next two, but I would try to, maybe pause the video right now, set them up, see if you get them, but I'll tell you right away the answers, or right away jot down the answer and then see if you can get to this. The first one is 8.83 inches, or that would be, what would that be? 11/16? No, sorry, 13/16. Yeah, if you want to change it to 1/16 of an inch, because 13/16 is 8.125. And then the second one is 2 1/4. This one, since it's a fraction, I definitely would change it. And it ends up being pretty close to 2 1/4.